Today, we're diving straight into the actual, real-world numbers behind locum tenens pay. We're going way beyond the flashy marketing brochures to break down the exact math that staffing agencies are using behind the scenes. Think about a hospitalist physician taking a locum assignment at $200 an hour on the typical 13-week contract. They're usually shown this incredible total gross package of $127,200, but after federal taxes, the estimated net is actually right around $83,400. And you know what? Both of those numbers are completely accurate. The issue is, most guides out there only ever show you the first one. So today, we're looking at both and figuring out exactly what happens in the middle.
Think about this stark contrast for a second. We've got a massive headline gross package of $127,000 on one side versus a significantly smaller actual net take-home of about $83,000 on the other. If you're a focused professional trying to plan your financial future, well, looking at that gross number alone can be incredibly misleading. We need to understand exactly how that $200 an hour assignment gets trimmed down so you can structure your next contract to protect your actual bottom line.
So, here's our roadmap for bridging that $43,000 gap together. We're going to cover rates and stipends, the 1099 reality, agency margins, the full math, and finally, the benefits gap.
Section 1, Rates and Stipends. Let's start with our very first layer, looking closely at how hourly and daily rates are actually structured across different medical specialties.
Taking a look at the 2026 benchmark rates by specialty, anesthesiology commands upwards of $400 an hour, while an average physician sits right around $215. But here's the trap. You might be quoted a daily rate rather than an hourly one. Let's say you're offered $2,000 a day for a standard 10-hour shift. Right, that's $200 an hour. Sounds great. But if that shift routinely bleeds into 12 hours, your effective hourly rate just suddenly dropped to $167. You absolutely always need to clarify what constitutes a standard shift.
On top of that, understanding the stipend layer is absolutely crucial. Along with your base rate, agencies offer housing and meal stipends. Say $150 a day for housing and $50 for meals. Because these are tax-free, they act like a massive pay raise. But there is a huge catch you need to watch out for: the tax home requirement. You must maintain a permanent residence with genuine ongoing expenses. If you decide to, say, sell your house and live out of an RV full-time, you lose your tax home, and instantly every single dollar of those lucrative stipends becomes fully taxable ordinary income.
Moving right along to Section 2, the 1099 reality. Let's see how operating as an independent contractor fundamentally changes your whole financial landscape.
This financial trade-off is fascinating, honestly. As a 1099 contractor, you lose employer tax withholding, paid time off, health insurance, and disability coverage. The traditional safety net, it's just gone. But look at what 1099 adds. You gain some incredibly powerful tax deductions. You get access to a solo 401k where you can stash up to $72,000 in 2026. Plus, you get Schedule C write-offs for business expenses and a massive 23% qualified business income, or QBI, deduction. It's a structure that heavily rewards proactive financial management.
But, and this is a big but, you're now entirely responsible for the massive 15.3% self-employment tax. Because you are both the employer and the employee, you pay both halves of FICA. To put that into perspective, on a $300,000 net locum income, this tax alone can take a $34,000 bite right out of your pocket before you even touch federal income tax. This is exactly why so many savvy locum physicians explore S-Corp elections to help manage that specific tax exposure.
Next up, Section 3, the agency bill rate. This is where we uncover the hidden flow of money between the hospital, the staffing agency, and you.
Let's unpack the pay breakdown that agencies honestly hope you never really think about. The hospital might pay the agency $350 an hour. You receive $250 an hour. That leaves $100 an hour, which is a roughly 29% margin, though it can range anywhere from 25 to 40% staying right there with the agency. Over a standard 40-hour week, that's $4,000 going straight to the agency. Over a 13-week assignment, that is $52,000 of margin generated completely off your labor. Let that sink in for a second.
Now, to be totally fair, some of that margin covers completely legitimate and necessary administrative costs. Things like your malpractice insurance premiums, credentialing costs, housing logistics, and of course, recruiter compensation. But a significant portion is simply pure agency net profit. Because no major agency publishes their bill rates, the literal only way to know if your slice of the pie is fair is to get a competing offer from another agency for a comparable assignment. Competition is, for sure, your greatest negotiating lever. All right, let's bring all these concepts together in Section 4, the full worked example. We're going to meticulously calculate a realistic 13-week assignment for a $200 an hour hospitalist.
Okay, building up the compensation from scratch, we see how the base rate plus those stipends stack up. $109,200 in taxable base pay. Add in $13,500 for housing and $4,500 for meals. Put it all together and we get our impressive initial headline number, a total gross package of $127,200 for 13 weeks of work. It looks absolutely fantastic on paper, doesn't it?
But then the tax man cometh. The 1099 reality hits hard. Based on 2026 brackets, you're looking at roughly $28,400 in federal income tax, plus another $15,400 in that pesky self-employment tax we discussed earlier. Together, these taxes strip away nearly $44,000 from that gross package. And keep in mind, this is before we even talk about state income taxes.
So, stepping through the final math, we systematically arrive at the true core. We take the gross taxable pay, subtract the $43,800 in federal taxes, and then add back in the $18,000 of tax-free stipends. The result? An actual net take-home of $83,400. If you break that down, it translates to about $6,415 a month net after federal tax.
Finally, we reach Section 5, the benefits gap. We really need to address the crucial hidden costs that agencies conveniently leave out of their initial W-2 versus 1099 pitches.
When you accurately account for replacing those missing employer benefits, the math tightens even further. Buying individual health insurance without a subsidy, that'll cost you anywhere from $9,600 to over $18,000 a year. Own occupation disability insurance adds another $3,000 to $8,000. And if you have to cover your own malpractice tail when you leave an agency, that is a massive expense. This hidden gap can easily cost you $15,000 to $30,000 annually out of pocket, which significantly cuts into the perceived premium of locum pay.
There's a real strategic gem to remember here. The locum pay conversation has two versions, and both versions are true. The massive $127,000 gross rate is true. The calculated $83,000 net take-home is entirely true as well. But only one of these numbers pays your mortgage, right? Only one is actually useful for your household budget, your retirement projections, and your overall financial planning. The clinicians who truly thrive financially in this space are the ones who run the full mathematical equation every single time. So I'll leave you with this vital thought to consider. Now that you know the hidden math behind daily rate dilution, the tax home stipend rules, the 1099 burden, and those agency margins, how will you negotiate your next locum contract to protect the money that actually arrives in your bank account?